Tonight, Americans and Asians are dying for a world where each people may choose its own path to change. We fight because we must fight if we're to live in a world where every country can shape its own destiny, and only in such a world will our own freedom be finally secure. The confused nature of this conflict cannot mask the fact that it is the new face of an old enemy, the deepening shadow of communist China. The rulers in Hanoi are urged on by Peking. Why are we in South Vietnam?
Let Russia know that we're serious about fighting communism, maybe China. A sacrifice for freedom, which is what being against communism is about.
Communism wasn't such a bad thing for the Soviet Union. They probably came ahead in civilization 400 or 500 years.
I've been to Russia. I know what communism does to a country. It keeps the naive people poor, and they feel they're safe if they just keep working for a cause that's not possible. They take advantage of people. I hate communism.
All that mystique about all the Russians and communism and all that, and then you run into a Russian officer over there, and next thing you know, you're talking about downtown Boston. So it was an eye-opener, saying that it was very much, the communism and the Russians and the East Germans, and the Russians were very friendly. It was a real eye-opener, because I was very much thought I was not in favor of communism. I'd always heard about communism, but when you find out that these Russian soldiers were very much, you were looking in a mirror.
That's what the game is. The game is let's shoot at each other. Perfect strangers shooting at each other over politics that neither side understands.
First of all, we had our arms tied behind our back to a certain degree. We weren't allowed to invade North Vietnam. So if we had been allowed to invade North Vietnam, there may be a different outlet.
Especially in the beginning, there wasn't enough support. And to hear some of the guys that were there earlier in the 60s, before I was, and the support that they have was just horrendous. Just horrendous. Even later, it was limited because they claimed that there were certain pacified areas, so you couldn't have airstrikes or heavy artillery. And so that wasn't right. You're going to send guys in there, you need support. It was survival. I mean, you had to do what you had to do. They told us that we should only carry 7 magazines. That's a holder that goes in the M16 of bullets, and that's not enough.
When you wonder why the bombing didn't go on longer than it did, and during the bombing that they'd have to notify commercial airliners, and you figure a war's going on and where it was such in a small area of the world. Hanoi had the opportunity to go into bomb shelters because they were monitoring all the commercial air traffic, and they knew the bombers were coming, and it was, that was some of the frustration of hearing all these stupid things that were going on.
It seems now more certain than ever that the bloody experience of Vietnam is to end in a stalemate.
It shouldn't have been out there. The American public didn't need to see that on the 6 o'clock news. Walter Cronkite kind of screwed the thing. He came back and said, the Vietnamese aren't doing anything, we're not winning, and all these body bags and coffins are coming back. What are we doing there? And Lyndon Johnson said it. When Cronkite said that, he said, we've just lost the war because of Cronkite, what he said.
I think the more information you have is always good. You know, I think it's wrong for the country to be at war and then shielding what the military is doing. The media did a really good job covering the war. You know, the media was involved right with the soldiers, so you could get you know, battlefield accounts during the war, so you knew exactly what it was like to be out in the trenches. You know, you could get pictures daily from what was going on during the war.
Terrible. You had to get the news from someone that was there. It was not like it is today, and there was reporters right there. It was just pretty much they wanted you to read what they wanted you to read, and it wasn't necessarily reality. So it wasn't, and a lot of it was opinionated, you know, one-side opinions, where you know, you didn't get the facts on the other side. They were looking for headlines and drama and didn't see the total side to the whole thing.
They were telling the truth, and we saw it with our own eyes.
They played the media, and they'd only give them bits and pieces of information, or they were giving a lot of the counts that they said, you know, the false body counts. And they were building the body counts up to make it look good to the American people, that they were making some progress. And a lot of that, I mean, at least what I, you know, been told and what has come out, that was just false information. So I think the media, because they certainly played up the peace demonstrations, and I think that it was very much manipulated.
Anti-war demonstrators protest U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War in mass marches, rallies, and demonstrations. Central Park is the starting point for the parade to the UN building. The estimated 125,000 Manhattan marchers include students, housewives, beatnik poets, doctors, businessmen, teachers, priests, and nuns.
I think it was very valuable, because I think maybe the war would not have got over if it wasn't for the anti-war protesters.
They didn't have all the facts, and that's you know, they're jumping on the bandwagon. They're following the leader, not thinking for themselves, and you know, easy for them to protest when they're not over there. You know, when they didn't go, very easy. That's just the wrong thing to do. You know, nobody wants a war, but do you want Needham Town Hall to be bombed with an airplane? You know what I mean? I mean, you have to have some defense. It's a sacrifice, of course, but you got to protect yourself from, you know, for everyone. I never had a problem. I think that they could see the fire in my eyes and probably knew better.
I got, you know, I got orders for to go to Europe. You could see the protests more against the United States, and they were throwing eggs at us. Young kids, they were taking the American flag and dragging it into the ground in front of us.